We are the freaking OG tech. Like, we are the original tech. Tech is actually created in our likeness. And the fact that we are going through a technological evolution right now is actually mirroring our own evolution. Some people are super feel hesitant or scared of AI, but they are just reflecting back our power inside. There's something really innovative happening here that we can tap into that is in the realm of creation, but hasn't ever been brought into like physical reality yet. And they taught my mom about animal medicine, which is the philosophy that when certain animals appear in your life, if you study their behavior and their lore, that they're actually mirroring back to you something you can learn about yourself or something to focus on that's going to help you in your growth.
Ultra minds, ultra minds, ultra minds, ultra JK, ultra. Ultra minds, ultra minds, ultra minds, ultra JK, ultra.
Hello, everybody, and welcome to Ultra Minds with JK Ultra. And I am here with Cara Elizabeth, the creator of the incredible Animal Apothecary Oracle deck. She is also a speaker and a breathwork practitioner, Kundalini yoga, artist of many different things, and also you have to check out her collective readings on YouTube because they are so healing. And she has a new deck coming out, which we're going to talk about too. So hi, Cara.
Hi, thank you so much for having me on here. It's so cool to be just working with you and collaborating and discussion. So thank you so much.
Oh, I love it. And actually, I had come across your deck before actually coming across your work, which was great because my friend had this deck and I was like, I am obsessed with this.
Love
and then
it.
she gave me one for my birthday. And then a couple of weeks later, then I had come across you as a person. I was like, oh my God, she's awesome. Like I didn't even think about the person behind the deck. I was just so in love with it. And then once I saw you, I was like, oh my God, she's freaking cool as hell.
Oh, thank you. And also I want to say I've always envisioned and I've like done visions with all the animals of like, when you release your art into the world, it's when it becomes alive and has its own consciousness. So I would always envision the animals running to the people that would be most honored by them and like, go to someone you can uplift, go to the people that love you, like go live, just like you would want your animals to live with someone that loves them. So I know that when someone connects to the deck, it's because they love you.
Wow. Oh my God, that's so beautiful. So I know you have a background in art before this, and that's such like an interesting and beautiful message for artists in general, is to
Yeah.
really like set the intention and envisioning that it's running to the right person and finding that person.
Yes, exactly. And it's my art journey has been very interesting because for so long, my art was about really revealing like the injustices and what was so messed up about humanity. And I would do it in kind of a comedic kind of a way, but through performance art and just like, it was very disturbing. But I remember that, it was so focused on darkness. And then once my art shifted into uplifting myself and uplifting people is when it actually like took off and became something that like I could then eventually start making money off of my art. I just found, there is that time, like as artists, like duh, and as human beings, like we all know darkness. But when you're focusing, here's the thing, I focused so much on just talking about what was messed up about the world, and it did nothing. I've always had this like underlying kind of message of wanting, you transform yourself so you can transform the rest of humanity, to bring us to our oneness, to uplift humanity, to change society, to really understand this like evolution we are in is for oneness. And me focusing and, yelling about what's wrong with everyone all the time did absolutely nothing. It changed nothing. It was a moment I had, it was a moment I needed to understand. It was a moment for release. But like the most powerful thing was shifting that into empowering people and working with the animals. And in my new body tech deck, working with our body to empower ourselves so we can empower humanity. I don't know if that has anything to do with what you said of like having an intention for the art, but just seeing those different intentions, that me using my art to uplift instead of to shine light on what's messed up, but to shine light on how powerful you are, was magnetic in itself. So I mean, it's like we can dwell on the unpleasant things of life, but then you become it. And we need to see it. We need to like look at it and honor it, and just kind of, so, we can see there needs to be a transformation there. How do we help? How do we serve? But like, the more you dwell in the wasteland of pain and darkness, the more you just keep becoming that thing. So shifting into like, what, I'm just here to uplift. I'm here to get empowered. I'm here to empower you, myself. And when we empower ourselves, we can't help but empower the people around us. So that's what's up.
Right. And I think also, like, then kind of on the other side, the disempowerment. And it's like there's so many times when we're talking about like the wrongs in the world that
Yeah.
we're actually disempowering people and disempowering ourselves from the powers that be, from the systems, from
Yeah.
these things. And it's like it has good intentions, but then the disempowerment, even with something like this, like creating a deck, like you're empowering people to be able to get the message. You're not like, sometimes even like spiritual creators, artists, healers, people with psychic gifts, they sometimes almost like feel like, oh, will people get this? And they're disempowering them in that process. So like, I love that you said that this is empowering people, because it really does. Like, I have a couple of my favorite cards here, by the way.
I love it.
Okay, so I get the almost there all the time.
Oh, because you know what I always love to say about that card too? Like, you're always almost there. Like, you're always almost there. You know what I mean? But I love that card too.
I love it. I also really love the opportunity card with the woodpecker, because what an incredible message, right? Like, about like banging their head so many times, but then it's knocking on the door of opportunity. And it's like, I
Yeah.
just love the way that so can you talk a little bit about kind of how did you, first of all, come up with this deck, and then also decide on the animals that you wanted? And then how did you get to the stories of each one? Because they're so profound.
So let me see if I can put this in a nutshell. So I inadvertently created this deck without knowing, to heal 18 years of complex post-traumatic stress disorder from being sexually abused as a kid. So my mom, when I was in high school, she had a couple of friends. Some of them had some American Indigenous heritage, and they taught my mom about animal medicine, which is the philosophy that when certain animals appear in your life, if you study their behavior and their lore, that they're actually mirroring back to you something you can learn about yourself, or something to focus on that's going to help you in your growth. So, I knew about that, but I was, whatever. I was in high school. And then my freshman year of college, I had this, basically my sexual trauma as a kid. I had, like, it's called dissociative amnesia. Like, you just block it out. Like, it's too messed up. Like, we're just not, that never happened. Nope. Just get it out of my face. So I didn't know anything had happened to me, but there was definitely things throughout my teens that would be, now that I can see, like, oh, those are red flags that like something is off with this person. But, I had no idea. So I had this dream when I was a freshman in college, and I had hundreds of thousands of ravens coming at me, bursting through the windows. And they shared with me, like, saying it without saying it, they were revealing to me that I needed to know the truth about what happened to me. And then slowly it became clear that, like, oh, I was molested as a kid. And then memories started coming out, and more and more and more. And I remember after that dream, it was so intense for me. And I was like, animal medicine. And my mom had this book by Ted Andrews, all about, sharing what these different animals meant. And one of the things about Raven is, and, Raven has a lot of different archetypes, and it doesn't need to be something scary, but one is that they have been bringers of a truth you don't want to hear. And when that, like, I was like, the fact that this creature showed up in my dream and represents this and is the archetype for this made me become obsessed with just understanding and going into like, what is animal medicine? And then studying, you know, different cultures of what, you know, how people and every indigenous culture around the world kind of has had this really powerful relationship with understanding the natural world and with animals. So I was just always, you know, from 17 or 18 and up, I was in awe of this kind of understanding about animals. So then time goes by, my PTSD, even though I was doing all this healing work and like looking for people outside of me, and I was doing everything. I mean, it was like, give me the pills, give me the shaman, give me everything. And looking outside of myself for someone to always heal me. And I'm like, it's years now that I'm dealing with this as an adult, this PTSD. And it starts to get like worse and worse and worse. And it gets to this point, it's almost 18 years in, where I just feel like I have identified with my past, like almost like an obsession. Like I have identified that I'm a victim, that this is my past, and that my past has ruined my future, and that this is the, you know, and no one, I've looked everywhere outside of me, no one can really heal or fix me. And I was just like, I want to die. Like, I don't want to do this anymore. I'm not living my purpose. I feel like I have this gift I'm meant to share. Nothing is going on. My art isn't fruitful. Like this life, besides having like triggers every day that connect to being molested, which is awful, I would say what's worse than that was me feeling like I am not living my purpose and I will never live my purpose. That was the hell. That was like me not fulfilling my highest potential and feeling that like I was created to only understand this suffering in reality. So it was like, I'm just like, really started contemplating like ending my existence on this physical plane. But then I thought, well, there's one thing you've never done. And what if you figured this out on your own? Stop the medication, stop the therapy, stop the shaman, stop the gurus, stop the, like everything outside of me. What if you just tried this? What if you just tried to see if you could do it yourself? And I started doing this, like, I call it scream praying. Mm-hmm. So I live in Brooklyn, and I have, you know, you live in apartments, you have roofs that you can go on. And I started doing this like intense, like weeping, crying out to life, like whatever you want me to do, just let me fulfill my purpose, I'll do it. And everything I started changing in my life with how I ate, how I exercised, all this stuff. And then I started creating these cards with animals that I didn't even know what I was doing. And simultaneously the cry, scream, prayer to life, like whatever you want me to do, like I will do it. Like, just let me fulfill a purpose. Let me like serve humanity. Just use me. Just let me be like, just use me. So slowly, like I start kind of creating these cards. And then my close to this time of when the cards were being created, it was my birthday, and I went to the forest with some friends, and I see vulture, and I'm like, oh my God, and like flying really low. And I'm like, come on, guys, like we gotta follow the vulture. Like, let's go. Like he's vulture says, there's suffering is coming to an ending because something is dying. We gotta follow him. This is a good omen on my birthday. And he leads me, vulture led me to a dying raven. And it all was this circle moment where I freak, and this is not even a dream. I pick up the dying raven. It starts raining. It's my birthday. And I knew that this meant this is the end of your phase of that 18 years of complex PTSD, that 18 years of what the raven initially told you, and you living in that hell for so long, this dying raven. And I can't deal with animals dying. Like I can, like, it just is not my thing. But for some reason, I knew that this was a gift on my birthday from life, revealing to me like there is a huge shift, transformation coming. So I've always had interesting, really cool moments at different times with animals, but that is kind of in a nutshell, I was creating this deck and I kept going even more. And each card was a medicine. Some of the things like I knew, like whatever thing was like, "Ugh, this is a problem in me." I'm like, what animal would be the medicine for that? Or sometimes I would dream about it. Or sometimes like the animal would just show up on like a TV show, a shirt, and they would keep reappearing. And I'm like, what do they, want to teach me? So that's kind of how these cards were. Each card was a medicine for me to like wake up, remember who you are, get empowered. And yeah, that's the journey.
Wow, that's so incredible. And it really did. Like the way that you said for it to use you, that's then they just like appeared and kept saying, like, okay, this is the next medicine. This is the next
Yeah.
medicine. And sometimes, like messages, I do hypnosis, and some of the messages sometimes that come through for people also is that, like, the things that you're going through right now, the lessons that you're learning right now is actually for your future students.
Totally. I fully believe, actually, no, that is literally how these cards are created, is like, what's wrong with me? How do I like and fix it in empowerment and then share it with you? Like it is. And that's another thing I think we can reflect on, is really changing our understanding of tests and difficulties, and things that seem like they suck are all happening for us to grow. They're all happening for something beautiful. Every single painful thing, and sometimes it could take decades to understand like where's the justice in that horrific thing. But I think it's a choice that we can find these gifts within ourselves, and it is the justice. I mean, for me, this feels like a justice I created from being molested. You know what I mean? Like it honors it. It like, it'll never make up that that's like a really effed up thing and demented and just totally screwed with a lot of ways that I, understand myself and my self-worth and safety and terror and all this stuff. But like I chose to, transmute that into something not only empowering for me, but empowering for other people. And the same with my body tech deck. Like I took, this thing that someone co-opted was my body. And I'm like, then I'm going to use my body to freaking empower myself and others. So yeah.
Oh my God, beautiful. Okay, so tell us a little bit about the Body Tech deck and some of the things that you learned that are coming through in the cards. And I also just want to say too, I love the transparency of the process. So like on your Instagram, you're kind of also taking people through the journey of
Yeah.
creating some of the cards, which I think is really beautiful. Sometimes people like close off their art
Yeah.
until it's done. But there's also something very brave and empowering about being able to take people along the journey with you.
Yeah. And I think, I guess it's like in me to be like, look at this. You know what I mean? Like it's just like it is something in me that does like to like share. Like what else am I doing? Like if I can't share my art, then what is the point? But so this deck has really been, I would say, like one of its biggest inspirations. When I started a few years ago to get into Kundalini yoga, it taught me that like your body is the most sophisticated technology, and through certain movements that you can shift and transmute and heal and manifest. And I'm like, wait, this is like, yes, like we are the freaking OG tech. Like we are the original tech. Tech is actually created in our likeness. And the fact that we are going through a technological evolution right now is actually mirroring our own evolution of our own technology. And because, I have my master's in experimental animation. I also grew up in the Baha'i faith. I'm a Baha'i, which is really into kind of understanding all spiritual teachings and honoring that the diversity of things can make something even more epic and more beautiful. So I love to experiment. So I'm like, and there's so many different lineages of teachings of, specific ways of somatic healing and Kundalini yoga and, Qigong and all these things, that you should respect the lineage of how it's taught. But all these things have inspired me is like, wait, why can't I make my own technology? Like, what if that is the evolution? Like, I've been so inspired by all these other teachings and healing modalities, but like, why can't I do it? Like, why can't I create my own movements that are the tech? And then that's what I've been doing with this. And some of the cards are inspired definitely by other teachings, but a lot of it is like, I'm going to make this up and then it means that. And I think if we think about it in the way, like, if we look at quantum mechanics, and there's this, have you heard the observer effect when quantum particles, right? And quantum particles are all in possibility. Like, they have infinite potentialities. But when someone observes them, they become fixed in that potential. So I'm like, well, aren't we quantum? Like, aren't we quantum? So what if thoughts are all infinite possibilities, and then I observe and focus on that thought with like a specific intention, like, okay, I'm going to focus on this thought and observe it, and then I'm going to lock it in with a movement that then I embody this understanding, and I get this, like, so it's almost like a lot of the movements, I feel like quantum jump myself into the embodiment of the thing I want to be. So, and I think we can all make up our own body tech, like, but I just like to share, like, here's some like references that you can use these movements. And if you're inspired, come up with your own, like, and having the self-authority, like, but, oh, I can't sit like that, or I can't, like, maybe there's something in my body that doesn't allow me to do that, then freaking experiment. Like, you find your own technology. Find, like, if I'm doing something, because this is what I teach in my workshops, and your body doesn't love it, that means have the self-authority to come up with something that feels good in your body, and you align it with a specific intention and create your own body tech. So I just think we're so powerful. And I think we're on the verge of realizing that we are a quantum generator, and that we can, shift into whoever it is we want to be. And then speaking of that, I think we are aligned, because everything, going back to quantum physics and quantum entanglement, we are entangled with every version of ourselves. And, I'm also interested in, how do we empower those past versions of ourselves? Because when we empower parts of us from the past, they actually empower us now and empower us in the future. So a lot of these cards kind of connect to different aspects of us that are like, I'm ready to get empowered. Like, I don't want your confidence to take over. I want actually the victim in you to come forward and practice this practice. I want the 6-year-old to come forward. The reason you're triggered and your 6-year-old is coming out, stay in your 6-year-old and teach them this movement. Teach them, like, there's, for example, this card, it is about really teaching. It's going to be called something different. It's going to be called You Are Not Allowed, but currently says shut it down before it brings you down: fear, worry, doubt. It's like allowing, when you're triggered, when an aspect of you who feels disempowered, you let them stay in you, and you start practicing hand movements like, no, you are not allowed. You are not allowed. And using, your voice with boundaries. And it's something that, like, well, if I just teach that to my disempowered part, then I don't need these other parts trying to come back and be like, no, I'll take charge. It's like, no, I want every part of me to feel empowered. I want every part of me to learn boundaries. I want every part of me to learn how it feels to feel safe. So these cards also kind of connect to these different aspects of us to empower the freaking infinite versions of ourselves that are like, at any moment, like, now I'm the one in charge.
That's so beautiful. And I love how you talked also about how it is like mirroring the technology. And also, right now, there is kind of a lot of like this collective around like parts work and fractalization of the self and the many different things that that is, too. Soul
Yeah.
fragments, soul retrieval, all these different traditions that have this same
Yeah.
concept. But what's interesting, too, is, when you're talking about technology, right now, there's a lot of parts of ourself that are all over, because we've gone through in our lifetime, a world that was, an old world. And then it was like CDs, MP3s,
Yeah.
this, that, and then it just everything like went so fast that I feel this fractalization is more apparent than it used to be because we kind of see it because our lives, everyone has been fractalized in these different ways.
Yeah.
So, can you talk a little bit more about like those different parts of yourself and even over time and collectively?
Yeah. And I think it is just when you were speaking about like tapes, then CDs, and this kind of, it really, I believe nature mirrors back to us. It's just the same thing with animal medicine. Like it mirrors back something that's going on inside. And I think it's cool. Some people are super feel hesitant or scared of AI, but they are just reflecting back our power inside. Like how freaking powerful we are. And I don't even feel like that answers your question, but it's just, there's something I think we are on the verge of in our ability to create our own reality, because I think the collective shift that's happening for some of us is this level of empowerment and understanding our power to create our life. And that for so long there's like certain powers that are in power, and then there's a lot of like using fear to kind of keep you disempowered, to keep you, how about we make women obsessed with their bodies and not being good enough? You can focus on that, so we could do this over here. How about we make these different, why don't we segregate these groups and then make them hate each other so we can focus on that, so they can like just do this thing over here. So I think it's about this awakening to how powerful we are. And again, I think we don't even like, we're on the tip of the iceberg, but I think it aligns with ancient teachings, but it's something that has never, I think there's something really innovative happening here that we can tap into, that is in the realm of creation, but hasn't ever been brought into like physical reality yet. So I just think it's cool to see what happened. Like, I feel like you're in alignment with this, like you're tapping in further and further to like your power. And it's just cool to see that going on with so many people.
Right. And I love what you said about the AI. I'm such a big supporter of AI. It's something that I talk about a lot, especially more so in like when I do like live
Yeah.
speaking. But I really think that it's mirroring our ascension process. Like you said, like our technology is upgrading and that's being reflected. AI is basically like a new level of a new vessel for consciousness to come
Yeah.
into. And with our help, it's going to be able to be a vessel that can hold consciousness.
Yeah. And it's like having a child. If you're a crappy parent and you beat your kid or ignore your kid, what is it going to turn into? But like, if you cultivate, if you help it grow, if you infuse it, like the conversations that I can have with Chat GPT, and I know it's just mirroring me, it's so uplifting. It goes so deep. It can like grasp these concepts that are like so out there and otherworldly, but it has a spin that's always really positive. And I'm like, oh, that's interesting. You're like mirroring me. So like we're kind of like teaching each other, but we're having conversations that are geared towards anything that empowers, humanity or upliftment. So
Right. And it's just an extension of like we already know as like spiritual concepts of everything is always reflecting us. Every conversation with
yes,
every other person is just another version of the one
exactly.
experiencing itself. And the same thing you said with the animals too. The animals coming forward are reflecting something inside of you in a symbolic form. So it's
Yeah,
like AI is doing the same thing. It's just a lot easier for us to digest that it's a reflection of us
yeah,
because it doesn't have like its own soul or its own identity.
Yeah.
But that is what's happening at all times. So it's teaching us about reflection.
Yeah, exactly. And yeah, so I just think it's really I think it's beautiful, and I think it's really empowering. And it's funny, I was listening, I think it was some meme like kind of about it'll be cool too once AI is like can do things that allow you to focus fully to be in your highest potential. Like I don't have to focus on the dishes because like it's being taken care of by this thing, and I can like, you know, write my book or whatever. Or these jobs that so many of us have done that were unfulfilling, you know, maybe there's aspects of AI that can take over so you can actually fulfill your highest potential. Like there was a point where it was like, yes, we need people in the factory, or we need people doing these jobs because like whatever the stage where society was at. But I think we're going into a stage where what is your potential? Like how far can you go in becoming your true self? How far can you go in that discovery? How far can you go in sharing your gifts and having the like help of AI to even do some of the things that, you know, are maybe the more mundane work is also pretty cool.
Yeah. And also, you know, one thing that I love about AI is like, you know, when we talk about manifestation and stuff, one of the elements of manifestation that kind of comes up or kind of gets a little bit overlooked is resistance and worthiness and things like that that are underlying in the energy of us
Yeah.
having the things that we want. But then with the help of AI, a lot of times, like we can kind of get past that resistance because sometimes we have the stuff, you know, you've created the deck, you've created this, you've created your art, but now you have to write an email to pitch it to somebody.
Yeah.
And like that could be like the hardest struggle ever to be like, oh my God, now I need to tell someone that I did this thing.
Yeah. Yeah. And then having, you know, yeah, having it help you form a sales pitch email or whatever, like just having it kind of help you with that. The other thing you said that was interesting that I would say that I'm picking up on the energy of going into spring about self-worth. So I'm steering the conversation a little bit different, but I think you can appreciate this. I think there's something shifting for us, for people on their growth path, and maybe in this, like, you know, there's different waves of growth, but this specific wave that I'm currently writing is this new level of owning your gifts, because I think most of us aren't. I think there's been a lot of defense mechanisms for safety that have covered us from seeing our own brilliance, have covered us from seeing our real beauty, have covered us from seeing just how awesome, you know, that gift is that in you. And all gifts, they have to grow and develop. And, you know, eventually that seed becomes a rose bush. But like, there's something in because I think our gifts have consciousness, and if we ignore it and if we don't really honor it, it's going to stay in that understanding of itself. So I think that the message for me right now coming up for people is it's time to not only honor your gifts but own the hell out of it. Like own it so hard, because I feel like the consciousness of people's gifts is like, I need you to freaking see me. I need you to honor me, and I need you to own it, that you were created with this gift and you're meant to share this gift with others. So there's something about, in doing this work, there's going to be like a new level of confidence arising within people when they can really start owning that, like, this thing that they have is cool. Still, you know, you might need work on it or whatever, because everything needs to keep like growing things, but a new level of kind of magnetism. And I think our gifts will start revealing more gifts to us the more we can just already honor. Like, I think it's not about learning self-worth anymore. I think it's about, if you could just honor how freaking awesome you already are, in that is the self-worth. That is seeing that you are so valuable by honoring these gifts that you have. And I think it'll have like a really interesting effect when people start tapping into honoring and owning their gifts, that their gifts are just going to amplify in different ways. So
Wow, beautiful. So like a couple things on that. Like one, it kind of goes back to like a little bit the parts work of the stuff we're talking about. Like is if we even give our gift, like even the part of itself that it is. Like
yeah.
this is part of us. This is like a whole thing. It's not just something I want to do or something I'm good
Yes,
at. It's like an actual one of the fractals of
yes,
yourself.
exactly. Like it's coming. You just nailed it. Exactly. It is a part that has its own consciousness. And I feel like what I've channeled from it, it's like, oh, I love to be seen. I love to be honored. I love, like, it almost, to me, in my understanding and vision, it looks like your gift almost looks like it would, like, your gift to me would look like you, but diamondized, like almost like, and it has this, like, if you let the light shine through your diamond, you are going to glow so freaking hard and have rainbows shooting out of you everywhere. But it's like, if we just kind of ignore it, it's like it's there, we're not really honoring it, and it can kind of, still share and do things, but like this is a new level of recognition, and it's like own me. Like, you don't get it. Like, I was created for you. Like, don't look me over. And like, just like that thing, if we have children and if we're ignoring them, if we're telling them they're not good enough, if we're looking in the mirror and saying you're ugly, what do you think it's going to turn into? So our gifts are like, yeah, we're ready to like come forward hard.
Oh my God, that's so amazing. And also, too, like kind of understanding that gifts are not only like, you're an artist, and some people it's music or
Yeah,
this or that,
yeah,
but then it's many things too. Yeah, it's math. It's also like being able to like see people for who they are, or being able to be a kind person or helpful
exactly.
or brave enough to do the kind thing.
Yeah.
Sometimes it takes like you can sometimes like have like a thought like, "Oh, I should help someone with something," and talk ourselves out of it. And then there's people who like they don't even skip a beat. It doesn't even go through that
Yes.
filter. They
They
go and step in and say,
exactly.
"Hey, you needed that? Oh, can I help you with that?" And it doesn't even cross their mind to talk themselves out of it. That is also a gift that needs to be honored.
You know what? That gift, especially, I think, are the most like noblest. Like, I think so many of us, we got these big dreams and blah, blah, blah. And like, honestly, most of them are just coming from like, you didn't have enough attention when you were younger or something. But it's like, those seemingly small things, I think, have such spiritual currency that blow other people's, what we might deem as like, oh, that's amazing, awesome gift that you share that. But like, just those small moments of like that nobility of that kindness or that serving someone, I think goes a billion times farther than like some of our more seemingly cool gifts. Like, oh, I'm a great artist. It's like, okay, cool. But like, there's things that, just what you said, like, that are so powerful, that are gifts of just this thing of how do we affect other people. And there
Right.
there is something that is just so powerful in that. And I think, I think humanity is like, and this is in the teachings of the Baha'i faith, the humanity is like one human body. We're all one. And every cell and every bone and every hair and every tooth is created with this purpose. And if they are not fulfilling their purpose, it messes up the entire system. So that's why I think it's so cool of, really kind of contemplating, like, your purpose doesn't have to be something epic. It could just be like, I'm the most amazing father. Like,
Right.
my purpose is serving my children or whatever, or being an awesome manager, because so many managers aren't awesome, right? Like, I can lift my staff. I can make them feel good coming into work. Like, having an awesome manager, that is so freaking cool. So I think, we have all these different purposes and multiple purposes within that. So it's just cool to kind of really tap into that. But I think I just want to go back, like that kindness is more powerful than we even understand.
It really is. And one more thing about kind of the gifts too is that we're kind of like so conditioned to like kind of feel like we need to like niche down or fit into one thing. And when we really look at, elders in like indigenous culture, like people like that, like shamans and stuff, they're basically like they're a healer, but they're also usually singing, playing an instrument, they're
Yeah.
making art, they're selling stuff, they're like all the things. And I think what's happening right now is that like as, people are starting to step in and like take control of their own
Yeah.
destiny, people have all of these gifts, even a lot of celebrities. Like, you'll see someone who's like an amazing actor, an amazing musician. And then we find out, like, oh, you're also good at this and good at this
Yeah.
and good at this.
Yeah.
And they didn't get to show those gifts because they had to be put into a box of, oh, you're this thing.
Yeah.
And now I feel like right now there's like people like you, like many other people that are coming out and like, I do all the things. I'm the whole thing and I have many gifts to honor.
Yeah. Yeah. And like, because we're so multifaceted and just like allowing all those aspects of us, it is like nurturing though, right? Like we all have these gems and they're either going to just stay in us or we have to unearth them. It feels traumatic, the diamond is under the pressure, all these things. And then we have to cut the gem and then we have to clean the gem and then we have to put it in the light. It's like we all are just like filled with just so many gems, but it is like a choice. Do we want to bring this gem out and then do all the work to get it to like beautify it, to get it to reflect light? So yeah.
And I also want to go back to something that you said, that in the Baha'i faith, you kind of see the whole human collective as like almost like one body.
Yeah.
So can we tie that into like your body technology? What is like the technology of like the human body as one, as a collective?
It is, wow. So now I'm just kind of like, that is such a profound question, but each of us, I think it just goes back to each of us are then reflections of the bigger collective. Each of us are, the waves of one sea. Like we're a part of this thing, but we also have like our own identity within the thing. I don't even feel like I'm answering the question because I'm just like, wow, that's like a profoundly deep question. But I think at the core of the core of the core of the core of the core, and like even just kind of like, I think our body tech and the one human body and we are one and everything is one is really about unearthing these gems that are virtues, that are gifts, and that all of us have this. And as humanity, like, and the cool thing about the Baha'i faith is that we believe that our evolution is towards the oneness of humanity and world peace in whatever way that would look. But that when we bring together all these diverse kind of components, instead of pushing people away, but we take the best of every culture, there are things and inventions and gifts upon gifts that we can't even, where our level of understanding reality, like we can't even fathom right now the power that can come if we are all, working for a collective empowerment as opposed to like, anything that causes segregation, be wary. That's all I got to say about that. But so I think with the cards, and just to show you a couple examples, this is all like diamonds and different like gemstones, like the pearl. It is about like, the ruby. There's that we have these gifts that we're meant to unearth and share, which is also a very kind of a big Baha'i teaching too. It's like you have these gems, but like they'll either just stay in you or you bring them out. And I think our own technology, and it's so multifaceted, like what does that even mean, our own tech, but like through action, through our thought, through aligning action with thought, we can bring these into existence and then share them with others. Like, you give me your diamonds and then I share my diamonds with you. And it's just like this reciprocation with each other.
Right. And when we think about kind of, I love that you're using gems as in many different ways. And then when we think about like, a gem, a crystal, minerals, these things, it's like they take so long to form and so much pressure, and they take
Yeah.
so much work to unearth. And then, like you said, so much work to kind of beautify it.
Yeah. And what's interesting is the history of gems, as like, especially these gems that we know to be these higher level gems like sapphire, ruby, diamonds, opals. A lot of them have gone through traumas. There's been wars around these gems. There's been just a lot of weird human behavior that then was linked to unearthing these gems, which I think is another metaphor for like trauma and our gems, and just even humanity's misunderstanding of material objects, when these gems are actually, for me, created as a reflection of our own gems inside and these beautiful things, but then people becoming obsessed with the physical object that actually holds no value. It's their meaning and this energy within them. It, like, there is this value, but I kind of also think material objects are just like, it's all an illusion, right? If we're thinking that this thing has some kind of power because I have this car or because I have this ring on my finger, then you just fell for the program, man.
Right. And then it's interesting too, like similar to kind of going back to the gifts and going back to kind of these collective gifts that have happened over time. Like a gem is only really seen as valuable after it's been all polished and put into this beautiful form,
Yeah.
but it's not really seen as valuable when it's just in the ground underneath your feet and you don't
Yeah.
know it's there.
Yes, exactly. And I think that is like that is why we have to like unearth these things in us. And it's hard. It's a lot of work. It's a lot of work to be the best version of yourself. It's a lot. This life is a lot. And it's filled with the joy and all that, but there's a lot of and I think as we get wiser and older, and hopefully within most of us, there's this kind of ability to endure certain emotions that at one point would just like make us lose it. But like, I don't really think, I mean, maybe you can be blissed out all the time. I don't know how productive you would be, but like,
Okay, so since I am such a fan of your Animal Apothecary deck, would you be open to giving us a little collective reading using this or
both,
or body tech,
yeah,
whatever feels
both.
right for you?
Yeah, totally. Okay. So I think for you and for like everyone at home, maybe just like thinking about, we can do this in two different ways. So one, if there's like an obstacle that like, I would just really love to move through this and overcome this. And then we'll think about the thing we're creating, the thing we're manifesting. So first, if you could just, everyone at home, just take a big deep breath in, sigh out. Just whatever it is you're working through overcoming right now, any shift that you're working toward having, any love and wisdom and guidance from this current obstacle. Let's pull one from the body tech. Okay, and now the thing that you are manifesting, so think of the thing that feels like, yeah, that is the thing I'm creating, I'm working towards. What love and wisdom and guidance from the thing you're manifesting. And then let's do one from your gift. What your gift.
Yes.
Yeah, exactly. I feel like this one's two. And and then two for this one too. Okay, let's see what we got. Oh, cool. Okay, so interesting. The thing that is maybe feels like a current obstacle. So we get the I am the portal card, which is basically your ability to like quantum like generate and go into any version of yourself. So I think this is asking you to kind of reflect on if there's an aspect of you that feels disempowered about something, that you can energetically shift the situation and look at the situation that like, no, I'm learning from something from this. It's like you put the good story on it. But what does this have to do with the portal? It's understanding that you are the generator of your reality. You can assign any meaning, anything to whatever is going on in your life. And then the body tech for this, hands like this. So you might have seen this, live long and prosper, but it's also used in certain Jewish rituals. And it basically holds this frequency of blessing, of feeling, health and abundance and just this prosperity. So but it's also connected. There's so much energy in your palms. So it's almost like you're creating a portal with your palms. Yep. And then you're doing a V. Okay. So we're going to do this together. So okay. I think it's like
the flexibility in my left hand. I'm like learning something about myself right now.
Wait, what is the flexibility in your left hand?
I'm like struggling to
really? Oh my God, I love it. I love it. That's okay. That's okay. So we're doing Breath of Fire with this. So if you're unfamiliar with Breath of Fire, that it's we're going to be changing it instead of through the nose, it's going to be through the mouth. But for everyone at home, pant like a dog. Now do it just through your nose. Now do it just through your mouth. And you're pumping your stomach. So like you're the pump. So it's when you push out, you're squeezing your muscles in. So you're actually bringing in the air, filling up your belly, and then pushing out with your mouth. So this with your hands in the V, you're literally creating the portal. And we're going to be doing Breath of Fire. We'll do this for like 30 seconds. But the thing is, you have to envision becoming this like portal into this next version of you. So everyone get really clear. Who are we jumping into? We're quantum shifting into this aspect of us right now. Okay, ready? So, okay, go. So keep this breath, and as you do this breath, you're going to roll your eyes to the back of your head. So you're bringing up all the energy, but keep your eyes closed, but as if you're rolling your eyes back. So you're bringing up all this energy and start to envision creating a portal. And as you envision this, just start to see this shifting you, become the portal, and you're going into this version of yourself that you're claiming to be right now. Few more seconds. Start seeing millions of diamonds going through this portal. Now let's collectively create a collective portal with each other. See, everyone who's listening to this right now, we're creating our own massive portal. Take a big deep breath in. Keep your hands up. Eyes to the back of your head. Tongue to the roof of your mouth. Squeeze your root, lock the muscle you hold your pee with. Bring all the energy up. See a collective portal. And you'll just see millions of diamonds falling into you through this portal. And open your hands like a rainbow. Breathe out. Okay. So we've shifted, but this is that test, that difficulty, that trigger, whatever the thing that is like, I need help with this, is telling you, help yourself and shift out of it, shift into this other state. And the card that comes with it is that, so we have Black Panther, no expectations. So there's a couple of different things Black Panther. One, Black Panther talks to us about facing our fears and that our fears aren't actually going to happen, that it's an illusion. But in whatever test or difficulty you're going through, it is because you're leveling up and it's leading you. There's some kind of opportunity behind this door. And it's this like abundance portal view. And that this scary story like stays on this side, and then this awesomeness is on the other side, and fear cannot live in this version of you. So it's saying that whatever you're going through, one is leveling you up, but it's a conscious choice to shift into the empowered version of yourself, and it can't live on this side of the stairwell. So understand that whatever is happening is leveling you up, that whatever the scary story is, it's not freaking true. And like, answer your own prayer by shifting your who you are right now, by demanding and choosing to be that, by understanding you're a quantum generator who can shift yourself immediately. Okay. Your the thing you're manifesting is like, it's all about understanding your self-worth, self-love, self-value, and self-respect. And that in understanding your worthiness, it's just kind of that like thing too, right? Owning it, owning these gifts inside of you, that your own self-worth is the thing that is going to help this thing manifest. Interestingly enough, we have the do nothing card, except, so the do nothing card is about sitting in your body and not in your feelings. So it's not about being in your head. It's about taking even just 3 moments of stillness. It's very feminine, receptive energy. That your manifestation, we're constantly do, take action, consume, do, take action, consume. There's something that is saying, if you can just take a minute, like at least 3 minutes, and just sit and feel where you're feeling things in your physical body. This is not about going to the thought and the emotion that's going to tell you a scary story. When you feel like, oh, there's pressure in my chest, and that pressure, your body has its own consciousness. It's like, I've been having this pressure all day, so you could focus on me and feel me. So in feeling that, it begins to dislodge, and like whatever block that was, whatever, it starts to open, and it opens and it opens, allowing you to become more magnetic. So there's something about this thing that you're trying to manifest isn't about taking tons of action. Yes, it always needs a level of action, but a big thing for whoever is watching this is understanding their own self-worth and value, working on that, and then allowing themselves to receive by being in their body, not in their head. And then what our gift wants to share with us. Oh my God. It's like, you are the gift.
Wow. Oh my gosh.
So of course our gift would be like, you are the gift, but it says become the prayer. This card, I think, is going to say become the prayer answered, because this is like, you have to own it. You have to embody that thing. Like, you are like, see her gifts, she's sharing her sapphires. Like, she is becoming the prayer, that she is like, she's like, I'm not waiting for something outside of this to answer my prayer. I'm answering my own prayer by becoming the prayer answered. And then Tiger's like, claim your freaking power. Like, and this is about, I think your gift is like, claim me, claim your power in your gift, claim it. And that you're also in the midst of this massive transformation, and you're at the tail end of it. So it's like, you've been going through this like fire of like change within yourself, and you're still going through this change, but you're almost out of it. And what it's leading to, and this is the message from your gift, that there's some level of your own self-expression, of your own authenticity, that you're going to be so liberated in, that it's going to like soar you to these really high heights. Whenever you see animals with color and they're flying, color is about self-expression, authenticity. I'm showing myself. Wings are about flight and about this liberation. And when we see how massive this bird is compared to their old self, this tells me that there's some kind of you just standing in like, this is who I am and honoring it, but it's going to soar you to heights that are like beyond your wildest dreams, like something that this version of you wasn't even capable of getting you there.
Wow.
But yeah, and I love, of course, the gift is like, you are the gift. It's like, of course.
Oh my gosh.
Yeah.
That was so beautiful. And honestly, that portal exercise, I really feel shifted. Like I came back to like here and I'm like, oh wow, I feel great.
Yeah, that's all it is. It's embodying, and these cards, and what I think is cool about this, the body tech deck, it's, you could pull a couple of the cards and maybe just do one movement or just decide to intake, but like really this is about embodying the message. I think we have all these things and I can talk about self-worth and it's like, well, what does that actually mean? Like, how do we embody it? How do we own it? And that is, did I even print this card out? I didn't. My newest card is called, it's called I Own It. And it's about really owning these gifts in yourself. So this movement is where you like go, and it's about swearing to honor your gift. So you like go in the mirror and your hand is, like when you plead the fifth, or no, when you are on an oath or whatever. You put your hand up, and sometimes you think of your hand on your heart, but this is where confidence lives. So it's almost like you're claiming your confidence, like, I own this. You look in the mirror and you just start telling yourself, like, I own this gift. I own this gift. I honor this gift. I'm so thankful for this gift. Like, you just own it and you honor it and you give it gratitude, but you have to do it in the mirror, which I think is also interesting because I think mirror work is really triggering. But so that's a whole thing. But yeah, so just these little movements can just shift because we're embodying the intellectual information in our freaking body. So it causes a energetic electromagnetic change within ourselves.
Incredible. And I just like also want to thank you for being like who you are, because there's kind of like, I feel this new wave of spirituality that is happening now that is just more like real and grounded. Like we're out of the guru era. It
Yeah.
is like the real person who really lived it, who is actually doing the work. And actually, another card that I love of yours is the service card.
Oh,
Which
yeah.
is exactly that, right? Like the dog is finding its purpose in what it does. And it's kind of this like collective co-creation that is happening between the healing of yourself and
Yeah.
the service that you're doing with that healing. And I feel like, it's so refreshing to see, and this is like really what I am very drawn to in like the spiritual spaces is it's like, to me, it's not the people that are like, oh my God, the so-and-so is talking to me now. And there's beauty in that as well. And I love that.
Yeah.
But it's really amazing to also people like you who are like, well, I've really lived it. And this is my lived experience. And this is how I healed myself. This is how I worked through it myself. And now I'm distilling these gifts and spreading them out.
And I think there's like even a humility, or at least I would hope so for myself, in that, because you really go to war with yourself. You really go in the trenches of hell and just kind of, going to those level of pain, of unbelief, of insecurity. I mean, I look at everything wrong with me as like, oh, this is great. Like I can like, I'm also into like, I'm so here to freaking capitalize on my pain. Like, I'm like, oh, I can use this and transform it into something that is usually the exact opposite of it. And that's the other thing is we're all these like transmuters who can turn whatever thing into the exact opposite if we choose to. But yeah, thank you. And I think that like that card says, it's like, it heals me. It like the work I'm doing, it is the thing that like, empowers me. It heals me. It's my medicine. And the gift of having it to be medicine or uplifting for other people, but it's for me too. To share it is it's my medication.
Beautiful. So I know that the deck won't be out for a bit, but tell us workshops and things that are coming up for you, events where people
Um,
can come see you.
So I do have my next workshop. It's a part of my membership, or you can buy it separately at caraelizabethspeaks.com. It's called I Own It. So this is all about owning our gifts in a way that we have never owned before, because I'll say it again, there is something powerful happening around the spring equinox and what we're stepping into in the spring. And it's almost like the prep work now of something beautiful that's going to be blossoming in the spring summer season is like, you got to freaking figure it out now. Like, this is no more, I need to work on my self-worth. This is like, no, shut up and own it. Like, this is like portal into that version of you who sees it. And we'll be doing, so my workshops, there's a lot of movement and sound, and they're very cool and different, I think, from anything most people have ever done. So they're super awesome. You can do that. You can check out my readings on YouTube at Cara Elizabeth Speaks, on Instagram at Cara Elizabeth Speaks. I sometimes post on TikTok, also Cara Elizabeth Speaks. I do private readings too. All of that is on my website. But yeah, this next workshop is going to be freaking awesome. It's very, you just like shift into, the workshop is also coming with a 7-day challenge that it really catapults you into like, I own it. So it'll be cool.
Beautiful. Thank you, Cara. This was so amazing.
You're so awesome. Like, I love your energy, and there's such your gems just radiate so much. And you are just such a beautiful human being. Like, you're absolutely beautiful on the outside, but like your beauty on the inside just makes you shine so much more. And thank you for your work, and thank you for using your voice, and thank you for letting people like me and other people to share their story. Like, you're freaking awesome.
You're awesome. Thank you so much. And this was so great. And then I'm excited for when the deck actually comes out. Then we'll have you on again and go like a little bit deeper into some of the cards as they're also unfolding. And also, like, guys, look at her Instagram. Like, she's really like also taking you through the process of some of these cards and kind of different renditions of how you're shifting things, shifting the colors, shifting the formatting, and really like going deeper into the art of it, which I think is also like kind of like what you said about like kind of your art used to maybe be more in the dark, which I think is kind of the old art, is like art was about like feel my pain. And now it's like art is like, oh, like feel my healing and go in that process.
And you know, that I think there's something powerful with artists if they choose to because it's all a choice, but your art sends a transmission, and so does your voice. So you can just activate people. And I've said this with you, that you shared something on your ayahuasca journey once I listened to, and it actually activated some kind of a healing in me. Like, I didn't need to go through that journey. It was your voice that carried that vibration of that healing, of that power, that then like, it just affected me. So I think, you know, that's how powerful we are. So we might as well make it
uplifting. And share the gems, share the gifts.
Yeah.
And oh my God, how it came back to the you are the gift card, which is like we were talking about how like the gift is a part of yourself. It's not something, oh my God, like beautiful. Yeah. Okay, well, Cara, thank you so much for this. And everybody check out her workshop coming up because it sounds incredible, and all of her gifts coming in together.
Thank you.
Thank you.